Hello everyone, today we will be discussing about sex education. Approximately 15 million adolescent girls aged between 15 to 19 worldwide have experienced forced sexual intercourse or other acts at some point in their lives. Girls who give birth before the age of 15 or under 20 have high chances of death while delivering a baby. Many girls sexual abuse leads to unwanted pregnancy, as teenage girls who have been forced into sex are less likely to have the choice to use contraceptive. The evidence shows that in many places, girls are at greatest risk of exposure of sexual violence within the context of close relationships, such as those with family, friends, and intimate partners. It is necessary to prevent and respond to both together. Ensure zero tolerance of sexual violence against girls as well as boys. Make sure that schools are accessible for the girls to learn and educate themselves without fear. Make sure as a parent you are supporting schools and the NGOs who are giving child prevention education to the children and trying to back up them with the power so the children can be safe from the child abuse. Empower girl and teen children to manage risk, address harmful gender norms and practices such as child abuse. Let's listen to our guests about child abuse and how to prevent child abuse. Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the show. I'm your host Nikat Harun, and our guest of today is the founder of Something to Say. He's creating awareness on child abuse and child abusive prevention as well on a lot of forums. I am following him since the LinkedIn post which I saw, and it just blown me away. After that, I finally got a chance to make him to come to our show and just discuss the topic, which is sex education. So let's welcome Jeremy Indika. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation and allowing me and my audience to have your precious time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invitation, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Amazing. So how are you today and how are the things at your end?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Things are extremely busy and pretty high pressured at the moment, but we're definitely making great moves and there's a lot of momentum, so I'm really pleased with it.
Yeah, and I can see a lot of Insta feeds as well, which is coming every day. So, Jeremy, tell our audience more about you, and can you just share about your moment, which is like something to say?
So I created Something to Say off the back of me sharing my own story of child abuse in my history. And when I started sharing it online in public and people started resonating with the story and writing to me, telling me how it gave them an alternative way of looking at things as a starter. And then I thought, well, I got so much confidence from sharing my own story. I wanted to give the same opportunity to anyone else that wanted to do the same.
Yeah.
So I launched this movement called Something to Say, where we are sharing other people's stories of predominantly child abuse, but other serious matters that have happened in people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's really growing into something now. And it's all about strength and courage. And that's the movement.
So how long you have been running this movement?
So I actually launched the movement probably about 18 months ago, but I started sharing my story 4 years ago. So I had to build something off the back of my story first before we actually launched Something to Say. So I run all my pages, which is under my name, Jeremy Indika, and I talk about various topics on there, largely around the conversation on sex, abuse prevention, sex education. And the Something to Say movement is more, it's come off the back of that, launched 18 months ago, and it's more a community page. All the content is community driven. So actually anybody can make content for that platform. They just need to private message us, give us their idea, we give it a thumbs up, and they can become part of that community.
Sounds amazing. Like there is some support group where you can come up and just like speak for yourself. Because I have seen a lot of people who have been abused in their childhood and they have a childhood trauma because of that, but they never get a chance to speak because a lot of parents make their own kids silent. That don't tell the society, don't tell the people. It will be a kind of bad to our family respect and those things. So I want to know, like, why are parents unable to create a strong communication channel with their children?
I feel one of the main factors for this is their own issues,
Mm,
their own upbringing themselves. Maybe they grew up in a culture where their parents kept silent about these things. You didn't talk about these things. It will bring shame to the
yeah,
family. It will bring dirt on the family name. So that's already ingrained in their personalities,
yeah,
and they are then they're continuing that cycle down to the next generation. I feel like now with the birth of the internet, the incredible internet, and people are speaking more freely than ever before, we
yeah.
are now the generation that want to break that cycle because we understand that there is no good to come from that, especially when it
Mhm.
comes to something like sexual abuse in childhood. So
Mm.
actually, we are now one of the big generations to try to, again, as I said, break this cycle. And so we're trying to teach our own parents and the generations above us that actually the silence is allowing it to thrive, and just to put our experiences behind us and move on is not productive to stop this from continuing to happen.
That's true. That's true. And I guess name and shame is not a bad thing anymore, because people should know that this person is abusive, or this person could be harm anyone else as well. Because once you just stay silent, you give them more chance to ruin anyone's life or to do anything bad to another kid as well. So let's discuss more about what is sex education.
It's an open conversation about sex, the thing that we all desire. We
Hmm.
all it's the reason why we're all here. It's one of the most natural things that we do as human beings.
Yeah.
It's also common across the whole animal kingdom. It's like been here since before we were here. It's like, you know, it just starts to become, when you start looking at it like that, it starts to become so unusual that
Mm.
this thing that is like such a massive part of every single human being's life is so um avoided in
Yeah.
conversation and heavily stigmatized and quiet. It's like we have to keep it quiet, and I feel like sex education is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
It's the discussion around it. It's what it is biologically. It's what it is psychologically.
Mhm.
It's why do we do it? It's what ages is it appropriate for? Um, what are you to do if somebody approaches you for this and you're not ready? How to
Mhm.
say no?
Yeah.
It's all of these. It's information.
Yeah.
It's the same as the way we educate on anything else. Math, science, and English. Say no to drugs,
Yeah.
don't talk to strangers, all of these things. It's education, and with those examples that I just listed there, we're all in agreement that they are absolutely necessary
Yeah.
pieces of education. Math, science, English, say no to drugs, and don't talk to strangers. We're all in agreement that that's absolutely necessary. But the sex education thing, why is that still a debate? I don't know. I do know. It's because it's the older generations with outdated views, unfortunately. And that's what we're trying to break here.
Yeah, and the parents which we had as a millennial, they still feel really awkward if you discuss anything which is related to sex or something
Yeah.
really private in front of them. So I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the point. As a parent as well, we usually tell our children what's a good touch and a bad touch, because nowadays it's becoming a habit of a lot of abusers to even misuse a child who is just like 3 and 4 years old.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
so can sex education protect a child from being abused?
absolutely. Because people who are abusing children are exploiting naivety.
Mm-hmm.
If they can find a child that is naive and uninformed and uneducated with good touch and bad touch, we'll use your example there,
Yeah.
then that is an easier grooming process for them. That child is easily groomed if they don't have the tools and the knowledge of what a good and bad touch is, if they
Yeah.
don't have knowledge of what areas of their body are private and what to do if anybody asks, if anybody touches them there, or if
Mm-hmm.
anybody asks them to touch them there,
Mm-hmm.
what they to do. All of this is tools and knowledge that they can defend themselves in the world that we live in today, which unfortunately has many people who are trying to exploit children. it doesn't need to be a scary piece of education.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to talk to a 5-year-old about their body very differently to a 10-year-old, very differently to a 15-year-old. Let's take the 5-year-old as an example. People would be very confused on how you are going to teach body safety to a 5-year-old. It hasn't got to be complicated. When you are teaching them where the nose, the eyes, the ears, the arms, the legs are, just teach them about the areas
private
on the body
parts.
that are private.
Yeah.
That's it. A child will understand what private means. It means it's theirs.
Yeah.
And if anybody touches them in those places, they're to tell mum and dad. Let's just start with that. Now, the 10-year-old, of course, is a completely different being, right? They can take on more information, they can understand more, but it still hasn't got to be scary, right? It could just be there are certain people in this world who may want to take advantage of you in some way. They may approach you online. If you're ever approached by somebody who you don't know online, you need to be wary. And if you're ever approached for anything inappropriate, maybe you could list some things, you are to come and speak to mum and dad. And then finally, the other age we're using as an example here, a 15-year-old, of course, that's another completely different conversation. But to have the conversation continuously through someone's life, the same conversation about stranger danger and say no to drugs, then you are going to increase the chances that some type of abuse will not happen to them. Because if they turn to you when they're in their 20s or in their 30s and they say, Mum, Dad, I've got something to tell you. 20 years ago, so-and-so who used to come to this house used to do this and that to me, and it was all happening under this roof. I'm so sorry I didn't tell you. I didn't know how to. I wasn't sure whether I should or not. Now, as a mother or father, to receive that information would absolutely rip your life apart. You're never recovering from that. You're never, ever recovering from that as a parent. And then you will be wishing that you did that education that we're talking about, that simple education.
Amazing. And I really like the way you just described that. Take it as a normal education, like the way we just teach science, math, even the body part. Take it normally and just start telling the kids what is inappropriate touch or who did just complain to the first people with their parents. So why sex education is necessary in school? And you have already answered about the appropriate age and everything. So why and how exactly the schools can take a part to educate children with the sex education?
Okay, so last week I met with a head teacher here in England because I'm trying to present to the students. And he is very interested in bringing me in to talk. I do some part-time work with a charity, so it's actually a collaboration. And myself and the charity are very close to presenting in this school. And what the overall feeling that I got from the conversation was, schools are wanting to teach these topics, but are very worried about how to teach them because some parents want it taught, some parents don't want it taught.
That's true.
It's not like a subject like knife crime, as an example. Every parent wants that taught, right? We don't need to get any consent forms for that. But when it comes to sex, again, we've got this problem. And but schools, I feel like if we could support schools more, right, then they're going to be even more proactive than they're already trying to be. They've already got enough rules, right? They can say this, they can't say that. I don't care about what you say. Just teach the basic content and get it to these kids now. Stop having these meetings with all these adults sitting around a big table debating whether we just get it done. Just get it done, because every day you don't get it done is one day too late. You know, the statistics are harrowing. You know, 1 in 4 girls before the time that they're 18 will experience some form of sexual harassment or assault or abuse. 1 in 4 girls. So in your son or daughter's classroom, you know, let's say that's 30 kids there. Yeah, you got on average 7 children that before they're 18 will go through some sort of sexual offense. It's like, come on, like we should be supporting the schools. Do what you can. I feel like they feel like they're so worried about saying the wrong thing. It's almost like they don't have our support. But schools are essential, because for all the homes that we're discussing here where the parents don't want to talk about it, the only way to get to those children is through the school system.
Okay, so that's true that this is a part of the parents which we discussed. Let's talk about the society as well, because our society have created a lot of grades and a lot of things which we need to discuss, and such, especially the abusive part or anything related to sex is always avoided, or even
Yes.
avoided on the medias as well. Just keep it on the backside or avoid this part. So what do you
Yes.
think that society could have done differently to protect a child from being exposed to a child abuser?
The one we've already commented on is education, but as a society, that's a more difficult question, because I don't think we can. I find it very difficult as a society. What we can do, we need to address all the things in the foundations, which is conversations in the home, education, and media, right? So I really like to make a call to all the artists out there, all the film people out there, all the TV program people out there, to start making content on this as well, just to break the silence in all areas. So I kind of don't have an answer for you for how us as a society can help with this situation. I feel like we've already discussed all the ways that we can do that. Education, conversations in the home is where we need to start, and then everything will follow from that. If we can start talking about it more openly, then the next generation to come will talk about it even more openly, and then we just start moving towards something. Let me give you an example that I like to use sometimes. So here in England, 100 years ago, let's say even 50 years ago, you could not be openly gay, right? You couldn't speak about being gay openly. You definitely couldn't walk down the road if you're a man in a relationship with another man holding hands, right? But now in many areas, let's say London, which is very progressive, you can walk down the road with your boyfriend, if you're a man, holding hands, and you can speak about being gay in a proud and strong manner. So you can see how that's changed over the 50 years or 100 years, and that's taken generation after generation to continue breaking the silence layer upon layer. So why can't sexual abuse take a similar journey? Talking about sexual abuse, talking about sex, having conversations about what's healthy and what's not, what are your desires, exploring where they come from, etc., etc. Maybe we could step by step break the silence and break the silence a little bit more, so that in 50 years time, in 100 years time, they look back at our generation and be like, oh my God, they could hardly say anything. So I hope to that we see that.
And just best of luck, because you are already on this journey to break this cycle. So are there any red flags to catch in child abuser? Like if you see them doing these things, that could be a red flag for a person to analyze.
I mean, there are some obvious answers to this, such as somebody wants to spend a surprising amount of time with your child and likes to be alone with them in certain places. If your gut instinct is saying that there's something a little bit unusual there, there's some obvious answers like that, but I don't think there are like 10 top signs of spotting an abuser. Let's take my situation as an example. The man that was abusing me when I was 8 years old, he was 25 years old. So straight away, that's something that people don't think about. He was a nurse working in the healthcare system here. So he was carrying out a job that people think highly of, you know, and he was a gentle character. He wasn't aggressive in any way. He was slightly quiet, I would say, but nothing out of the ordinary. Now, you were never guessing. There would have been not one sign. Not one sign. Now, the fact that he managed to abuse me in my own home and nobody saw it, he did this very well. You know, we're meant to be playing computer games, but we're doing other things, right? We're just playing computer games, but actually we're doing other things. Like he did this, he got exactly what he wanted, but there was no signs. There was no signs. He was a family friend, trusted
Mm-hmm.
member of the family. Nobody. So you know, there's nothing really to look out for with this. It's just about keeping an eye on your children's behavior, how they're talking, how they're interacting with people, and giving them the confidence to say something when they need to say something.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're looking for the abuser, you're just missing what the child is doing. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not saying you shouldn't keep an eye on everything. You need to keep an eye on everything, but so that's my answer to your question.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry if I just recall your incident or
Oh,
anything bad
not a
in,
problem.
yeah. So sorry, because
Not a problem.
I want to like get as much as information as possible for the people so they can have understanding and they can keep their children safe. So I want to know even one more thing. It's like if a child is being abused, because your situation was a similar. So what should be a child next step?
Okay, so if we're talking to children, let's say we're talking
Mhm.
to an audience of children here where we know that possibly some of them are being sexually abused.
Yeah.
Um, you, my advice to any child would be you need to do what you need to do to get that stopped. It's not okay. It's not okay that it carries on. It doesn't matter if that person is in the family or not, or what they've told you. If you are being manipulated or forced into doing something sexual that you feel very uncomfortable with, you need to put you will need to put a stop to that as soon as possible, and that's going to be to go and speak to somebody about what you've got going on. And if you are not comfortable to speak with a parent, if you're not comfortable to speak with a teacher, and if you're not comfortable to speak with a friend, then just do a quick Google search on sexual abuse charities near you and call the helpline. Now, there you are going to get great advice. I actually would say that that would be a great move if you're looking to tell somebody, is to go and speak with somebody external to your life, and who are trained, experienced people. Now, if you're a parent and you've just found out that your child has been abused, let's talk about this for a moment, or is being abused.
Mm-hmm.
It is not your job to continue questioning that child, right? Allow them to speak with you. They are telling you something that's so close to their heart. It's going to be the most challenging thing that they've ever done to tell you this secret that they've been keeping. Listen to them, take every piece of information that they're giving you on board, and do not react with your emotion. This is not your time, right? This is not your time to express your anger, frustration, sadness. This is the child's time. Take all the information away with you, finish the conversation, make sure that child knows that this is going to be dealt with strength and courage, and then go to another room and cry or punch the wall or whatever you need to do, right? And then help the child, support the child in their journey, whether that be reporting it to the police or seeking therapy or counseling or reporting it in any other way.
Thank you. Thank you for such advices. My next question would be, because I will just give you a little bit background why I'm asking these questions, because I'm a relationship coach and I work on traumas and anxiety as well. So I recently had a mother. She was having a 2 years old daughter and she was being abused by her cousin. And that cousin is not too big or something. He's just a child, like at the age of teenage, 14 and 15, but he have addiction of pornography. So I want to know like how pornography can affect a child or teenager's brain.
So we all agree everything you watch and everything you listen to affects your brain in some way.
Yeah.
In particular, in your younger years, where you're very impressionable.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're not having the conversation or the education about sex with children, when they start to become into their pubescent ages, and they're very curious about sex and they can't get enough about the topic, now we have they all have phones with endless amount of videos that
Yeah.
they can watch and learn from, because they're hungry for knowledge. Now, before the internet completely, where did you learn about sex? It was just hearsay in the playground. But now they can actually go and watch it. And they're watching it like a documentary because actually they feel connected to it because biologically they're getting excited by watching it. Okay. So they feel a connection to it. And then obviously the pornography platforms are run just like social media. You click on one video, the algorithm feels like you want to see more of that, so it shows you more of that on the homepage. You go on there the next day and it's showing you a bit more exciting stuff, and it will take you down different genres because it wants to keep you hooked. And it's programming your mind into what you desire. And let's take this 15-year-old boy as an example. Let's say, make the assumption that he's never actually had sex before. He's only watched pornography. How do you think he's going to behave the first time he has sex? He is definitely going to be replicating what he's been watching for many years, nearly every day on his phone. Now, what's crazy about this is everyone knows any child with a phone can access these sites immediately, with no restriction. There's no age restriction on these sites, and there's no credit. There's nothing you need to do to prove your age. But still, has anybody talked to children with phones about how to handle it if they come across something that's of an adult nature, and what porn even is? Why are we not teaching boys from 12 years old what porn is? Right? Just so that they can at least understand it when they come across it. So, there's again harrowing statistics that boys as early as 11 years old are watching hours of this every night. And if that doesn't concern you, then I feel like you haven't thought about it deep enough.
So how, as a parent, can they protect their own child from pornography?
Talk to them about it like they're adults. Talk to them about what is on the internet. Talk to them about what they could come across on the internet. Do your own research. Can you answer the question, what is pornography? Right? Do your own research. But, very interestingly, is this a conversation they don't want to have because they're watching it themselves? Right? So they don't want to teach their child not to watch it because they're watching it in the evening as well. It's like this whole it's like this whole conflict of interest, and just an open conversation. Now, you cannot stop your child from coming across pornography on the internet, because even if you put I don't know, some kind of security restriction on your child's phone, give them one day and they've got past that. They know technology like so much better than you. They're laughing at your little security thing that you paid for, where they, within a day, they're past that, right? They know about technology. So I don't think the answer is to restrict their access. I think the answer is, again, open conversations. Get them to understand that is all acting. That's all movies, right? And what it's designed to do. What is it designed to do? It's designed to drive your hormones through the roof, drive your excitement through the roof. Talk to them about what real sex is, what you believe real sex is. Talk to them about what love is, right? Talk to them about relationship. You know what? Talk to them about your and your husband, or your and your wife. Talk to them about their mum and dad's sex life. Not currently. You've got to talk about like what you do. It's just like, we met, we did this, we experimented, we love each other, we're caring, we're gentle. I mean, and look, I am trying to work all of this out as I go, right? I am not researched in this. I didn't study this in any type of university. I've never written a book on this. I am learning as I go. And these are my current thoughts on this. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but we're trying things here.
But still, in the end, I guess the sex education is the only solution, whether it's a pornography, whether it's child abuse, or whether it's a prevention even. And even I was just laughing when you said your child really crossed you, because I have a son. He's autistic even, and he's 7 years old. I just delete YouTube because he used to watch that, that soundy kind of visuals and those stuff. So I deleted. And you know what that guy did? He went to the Explorer, tuck, 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 and he write the same logo effects audio come up. There we go. And
they know.
What the hell? I just deleted what he's watching. He was on Explorer. And I'm like,
they know.
These kids like
They know, yeah.
Yeah. So Jeremy, what advice would you like to give to our audience today?
Don't be fearful around this topic. When we talk about sexual abuse, don't be fearful around this topic.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be scared about. There's nothing to feel uncomfortable about. It's happening. We all admit that it's happening, and it's the thing that we do not want to happen to any of our children or any children in the family. Come and join the conversations, follow a few people that are talking about it, get educated yourself, get informed yourself, because that's going to be valuable information. And we all need to play our part, contribute to the prevention of this, even if it's just one conversation that you have over dinner at home tonight. And this is one of the most horrific things that are going on our planet. It's in every community. It's happening in every neighborhood. And I believe it's preventable entirely. And it's up to us to make moves towards this.
Thank you. So before closing today's session, I would like to know like how people can approach or contact you, and how as an individual, if people want to support your campaign, how they can do that.
So you can see all of the work that I've created over the years, including Something to Say movement, on jeremyindika.com. That's JeremyIndika. I'm sure you'll put the links in the description.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to support the work, which we are in need of as much support as possible, please just come and follow, share what the work that you think is important for others to see. We also have ways you can support financially. We've got a donation button on the website, and we've got merchandise. I'm wearing one of the hoodies here. We got t-shirts which you can purchase to support, and just come join the movement. Like, we're going to do great things.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining us today and uncovering such an important topic, because previously I really tried to hunt out some clients that, okay, can somebody come up and speak? But a lot of people like, oh, it will be video. Can I just change my name? Can I do that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no problem.
I don't want this.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot that you accepted my invitation, and you just give your precious time and knowledge as well. And even you shared your story. So I'm really, really glad that you did this today. Best of luck with your venture, and I hope we can make a change in this society. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate the time, and I always appreciate being invited onto these podcasts to have these discussions. So thank you.
Thank you. So anyone who is listening us or watching us, please do write your reviews, comment on sex education, what you think about it, and how your society is behaving and taking this. As well as let me know if you want to see another topic related to sex education. Just let me know as well. See you next time with another topic and another guest as well. Thank you and have a nice day.